Okay, we are recording. Welcome to the Q&A for day 3. We just answered the first question, which everybody has that maybe missed it because I went too fast, which is what's an HOD? It's a hypothetical offer document. So that's your 1 to 2 pages, half a page on the very short end to 2 pages on the long end version of your offer that you're going to send out to the world and start talking to people about. Let me be clear about that. When you discuss this offer, this is more of your cheat sheet. You're not going to actually put this out yet to social media or anything. You just put out the calls and you talk about it on the calls and then you go to the sales calls. Okay. And Jamie's question is, your field diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging is triggering. Have you ever marketed something that people are deeply divided over? And I was starting to answer before I forgot that I hadn't recorded that. Yes, I've had very triggering. So the idea of being triggered is a personal thing, right? We all get triggered by different stuff. It's usually to do with trauma. It's to do with, emotional stuff that goes on. But it just comes down to, what are your clients, the people you really want to work with, what do they care about? And it's not necessarily going to be triggering to them unless it's something they're dealing with. So you got to take your own lens and kind of put it back, back in the background here a little bit, and just like emotionally, neutrally come at this and be like, okay, what's the exact problem I'm trying to solve? Who is it for? What do they care about the most? And how do I serve them in their transformation? So yes, like all marketing should be exciting. It should be engaging. It should be interesting. It should get people to stop what they're doing and pay attention. It should call out certain things that, may or may not be emotionally triggering, but that's kind of the point. Like I think marketing is supposed to elicit a response, especially what we're doing, which is essentially direct response marketing. So let's get you on here, Jamie, and discuss this now that I've kind of waxed poetically about it for a minute, and we'll chat some more and see if we're on the right track here. Hey, Jamie, can you hear me? Is my
Yeah, I can
audio on?
hear you.
Oh, there we are. I had my volume turned down. How you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for being here.
No, thanks for inviting. Appreciate your questions here. I mean, you're allowing us to ask questions.
Of course.
And I think you're right. I think I do need to focus. Well, I know who I want to focus on, and when I've done groups, I've ended up with people in my like workshops or whatever that were there specifically to be a troll.
Right. So, but is that your client, right? At the end of the day,
Right.
like you have to kind of decide how you're going to be the gatekeeper for your tribe, especially with the masterminds, very intimate space. And like everybody comes into my group, they sign an NDA. That's one thing. So everybody's like, clear on privacy. And then everybody comes to my group, signs a diversity and inclusion agreement as part of the larger agreement. So you can have this paperwork in place so that when and if these people do slip through the cracks, which does happen, it's very rare, but it does happen. Ideally, you're selecting on the market research call, you're selecting on the sales call. I mean, people are always telling you who they are. They're always telling you who they are. You just have to pay attention. You have to listen. And you have to believe them when they say, that thing that they are, right? Whatever it is. If they're a troll, they're probably going to get weeded out and filtered out before that stage. But if they actually end up in your group and they've signed these agreements, now you have rules and means with which to go and oust them if you need to. And you're completely in the right because they signed an agreement, or they wouldn't have signed it in the first place if they weren't, if they weren't a right fit.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. So ideally, you're just not dealing with those types of people and choosing to deal with people who are like, okay, I'm emotionally stable. I'm an adult. I'm not going to get triggered about everything we talk about, and we're going to eventually move towards. So let me just be clear. What is your actual niche and transformation and benefit that you're doing?
So I'm focused on kind of well-meaning white, somewhat progressive folks who are still not real comfortable talking about racial diversity, LGBTQ plus diversity, gender expression, trans, like they're, and we can just focus on one of those things. I think
Sure.
just not to go too much. So if we
Totally.
want to focus on race, we can focus on race. If we want to focus on
And in
gender
what context are they interested in this? Is it like they have a corporate job and they need to be more inclusive, or they need to lead better, or what is the focus?
Well, see, and that's where my personal question comes in is, so I'm building my business because I want to actually end up with a product that can be marketed for HR departments.
Great. Awesome.
But I think like to build up, I need to have passive income. And I thought these kind of things, courses and masterminds and those kind of things could be like the kind of revenue that could support my actual work.
Totally. We just got to make sure it's
Scaling.
the right offer for the right market, for the right
Right.
people. So
Right.
maybe you start out with like, okay, well, what's the lowest hanging fruit? Do I know any HR reps that could talk to me? Do I know any, VP level corporate people that could talk to me? Do I know any, like, just get more information, and it'll very quickly become clear, like, oh, this is, I'm on the right track here, but I got to pivot here once you have those
Okay.
conversations.
Okay. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So in the absence of complete data, which we never have, we never know everything at all times. We have conversations to get clearer and clearer and clearer and ask more questions until it's like, oh, okay, I know what path we're going down. And you may decide at some point, like, oh, yeah, this is not the way I thought it was going to be. But over here, there's a huge opportunity.
Right. Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. Because in my business courses, like they talk about the same thing you were talking about, where somebody developed something for the post office without asking the post office.
Right.
Right.
How have you not had a conversation with a funeral parlor or
Right.
a family that's burying somebody? Like, how do you not talk to those people that would be using your product about
Right.
whether, they would actually buy this? Or is this even a problem they have? Like the guy that
See,
asked
I'm
for the
in
guy.
HR, so I just assume everybody's
Right. Yeah.
well, that was like my past life
Assumptions will
was
kill you
HR.
every time.
Right.
There's an old saying, and not to be crude, but assumptions make an ass out of you and me, and don't be that guy. Yeah. don't be
Right.
don't be assuming.
Right. Here I am. Like I teach people that, and then here I am.
Here you go.
Assuming.
So yeah, ask questions. Be open to being wrong, and that's great when you're wrong. It's like, wow, I just found another way not to make a light bulb. Great.
Yes. Yes. Awesome.
Okay, you feel good?
I feel good. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for jumping on, Jamie. David Zane. Okay, cool. Do you recommend, this is Barry, do you recommend put price in the offer? And when you say $1,000, you sure you're talking one mastermind or 1,000 for a number of months? Okay, so let's answer this live. Barry. All right. Barry, you on? Let's see. Barry. Allowed to talk.
Hello.
Hi, Barry. Top of the evening to you. How are you?
Good. Yourself?
Doing well, sir. Thank you. Okay, so your question is about pricing. I get a lot of questions on pricing. So in an ideal, like 30,000 foot view meta version, you find the right price that, at least half the people you talk to who are qualified, interested, and excited will buy. So I look at it as like the 50% rule. If you're having every conversation, everybody buys 100%, that's too cheap. If you have a conversation where it's like, yeah, they're qualified, interested, and they're excited, but they hear the price and they're gone and nobody wants to buy, it's too much.
Right.
Or there's some other issue with the sales process. Totally possible. But in, all things being equal, that's about what you wanted to target. Like about half the people who are qualified, interested, and excited who I'm talking to are buying this, then I know my pricing's about right.
Okay.
That being said, with your 500 or 1,000, I just say pick a number that stretches you a little bit, stretches them a little bit. It's a little uncomfortable for you. You're like a little bit like tight when you ask, like, will they say yes? Will they say no? Make it exciting. Make it because then when they do say yes, it'll be that much more exciting. And you'll realize like, oh, wow, if I had gone lower, I'd be leaving all this money on the table.
Excellent. Yeah. Just one thing to clarify. You like when you say a mastermind, is it just like a one-off one, or you?
Yeah. So
is that
when I think about pricing, I think about go for what you'd want to charge on a monthly basis,
right,
as your one-off price. And then the one-off can be a day, it could be 2 days, it could be, however long it takes to get you like enough of a transformation where like, yeah, this is working or this is not working. So in your niche, which is your niche, by the way?
Working with coaches and healers, like to have an abundant, to align with abundance and have an abundant business.
Okay. And what does that mean? Like what by what time will have happened?
Well, I was thinking over like about a 3-month period, 3 to
okay
4 month period
so
to work,
that's the big dream.
through.
What could be a very small, like taster version of that you could do in a day or two?
Okay.
And what would you charge for that? That would be my line of questioning for you.
Okay. I'll have to think about that, but yeah, I get what you mean now.
Yeah. So I would maybe bring in, let's say, 2, 3, 4 experts on the first one that are aligned around this, and just, make the promise really simple. Like, we're going to make sure you come away with, 5 strategies or 3 strategies that are going to help you increase your income and impact in the next month, and then if that works, you can go on to the next thing.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's just more the process and the timeline. I'm clear now. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, you got it, Barry. Thanks for jumping on.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Jen is back. If you're selling a beta, were you saying that a short offer is best, like a 1 or 2 day or a 1-2 month mastermind? Yeah. So Jen, like I said with Barry, what's the amount of time to get some transformation that's, part of the bigger one, right? I don't want you trying to sell and fill a year-long mastermind out of the gate. That's just too much. Doing that one-off allows you to get all the little pieces, the bells and whistles dialed in. Decide if it's like the people, the offer, and the niche you really want to be working with. Are these the types of problems you really want to solve on a consistent, ongoing basis? Is the money good enough? Like all these different pieces well, maybe not the money so much even, because you're going to do it as a beta, you're going to probably lower the price to start. And it's okay to like eat a little bit at the beginning to like get it right, get the offer right, so that you can raise the price later. And yeah, it's a matter of like, how long is it going to take you guys to get that niche, to get that result or that transformation, or at least start moving towards that. So for example, if it's an HR thing and leadership thing and a diversity inclusion thing, that could be a weekend seminar. They could learn a whole lot about that with a lot of great experts in a few days. Could be a really great one-off to test. Oh, sorry, that was Jen, not Jamie. I apologize. So Jen's question, let's get Jen on here. I apologize. I got mixed up with who that was. A lot of J names happening. Hey, Jen, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, Brad.
Hey,
Thanks so much.
Okay, no worries. Okay, so if you want to, did I answer your question or do you have more to it?
Yeah, no, you did answer it. Yeah, I was just thinking about a beta and, what was the best length to do that. And because I do have people that, especially more lately, they've been asking like, do you have something I can try out before investing in a whole year? Well, yeah, I should.
Yeah, so that's perfect. So yeah, we're doing a one-off mastermind just this one time. We're going to test it out, make sure this is awesome. And it's going to be, you're going to get all this stuff and you just kind of like read the different points you offer. Here's the process we're going to go through. Here's some of the things we're going to learn. We're going to give you more stuff you can do on day 5. It's going to be great.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you think that it would be good then to treat that like, let's say I did a 1 or 2 day, I should say a 1 day mastermind.
1 day mastermind.
Would I be setting that up kind of like with the webinar launch type of method?
No, I would just go, because you're not looking for 100 people to join or 1,000 people to join. You just need like 5 or 10 really to start. Okay. Again, this is just a tester. Does this work or not? Are people going to buy this or not?
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Let's bite this off in the smallest chunk we can do with what we have. And it's likely who those people are. Like, I don't want to make this a complex marketing thing. You don't have to make this a huge email blast. Like, who are 50 people that might be interested in this? And then you can whittle it down to the 5 that say yes and give you money.
Okay. So yeah. Awesome.
And you probably know who those people are already. They're probably in your phone. They're probably on your email list. They're probably in your contacts. They're probably on your Facebook or whatever. I
do. Gosh, I feel like 2020 has been a weird year because I feel like a lot of those contacts I make at conferences.
Sure.
And, this year's been a little rough with that.
But no reason you can't call them up, say, hey, I'm working on something. You want to chat about it for 15 minutes? That's all you got to start with. And then it'll quickly become clear if they're right for it or not. You may not end up even pitching them if they're not right for it, but if they are, you're doing double duty. You're getting clear on your offer and you're potentially getting sales as well.
So if I get them on a call and do that 15-minute conversation and then let them know about this beta that I'm offering, and
we'll give you the exact scripting in the next couple of days, but yeah, you'll have all that. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you finish?
Oh yeah. And then if they, and it's paid. So then if they want to pay, it validates it. If they're like, nah, that's okay.
Yeah. We're going to actually, just skipping ahead to day 5, we're going to actually have you get a deposit just to be really clear. Like, yeah, this isn't what it costs. It will cost more, but we're just going to put down like $100 or something. I wanted to make it reasonable for everybody who's here, to say yes, to have somebody say yes, and then immediately be like, okay, cool. I'll just take a quick refundable deposit and that'll save your spot. This way I know people are in and I can begin to plan and put it all together. And I don't have to worry about, I don't have anybody going to buy it.
Yes. That's so good. Since you brought up payment, can I ask my other question?
Please.
Okay. So what is the best way, and I put this in the question box, but what's the best way to organize payments? Because right now for the 1-year mastermind that I have, I did offer a discount if they paid in full. And then I also offered a monthly plan, and everybody always chooses the monthly plan. And I had a couple people during the year leave because of their own traumatic life experiences. My masterminds are for women. And so there's just a lot of, things that happen with, they're caring for people, whatever, things happen, cancer or like just big things have happened and they've needed to leave. And because my heartstrings get pulled so much, I let them leave and then I discontinue their payments. But I'm thinking, I need to collect payment differently. I think I need to take like a down payment or some kind of.
Yeah. So a couple things you can do is you can really discount the pay in full option, really incentivize that. That's one thing.
Okay.
You can offer financing. You can get a third party if it's an expensive mastermind. Usually in the, if you're above 10,000, you can start to think about like, you don't have to take on the financing yourself. You get a company to do that and they just work through that company. So as long as they have good credit, they can pay it off however they want, but you get the money up front. That's another thing. You could, you can help them with, you could do like a big chunk down in the beginning and then smaller payments going forward. So you have the money in the beginning and just having a really clear contract, like I don't want to chase people for money either. And sometimes people, they have problems. It's not, unfortunately, their fault. Like just life happens and they can't pay. I just kind of take it on a case by case basis. And it's surprising how many people like they want to continue their commitment because they signed a contract and they made, they took your word and you showed up as the facilitator and gave them everything you said you were going to give them. And they come back a few months later and like, here's the rest of the money or another payment. Right. So it really comes down to your relationship with money, your relationship with your clients, your leadership, how much you're showing up, how clear the agreement is and written and all that, like how professional the organization is. The way you show up is the way they'll show up for the most part.
I love that.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. And then my last question, and you kind of mentioned this in one of the Facebook groups, but other than one-to-one coaching being more expensive than a mastermind, what would you say are the benefits to a mastermind over one-on-one?
Yeah. So you get more for less, in my opinion. You get more access to more experts in less time for less money. And you're not relying on just one person and their crazy schedule to get you what you need. And it's really difficult to find one great coach that can help you more than a little bit of the way. With a mastermind, you're having a lot of opportunities to work with a lot of people, including the other participants, to get your problem solved. And it doesn't always come from the facilitator. Like I go to masterminds that I don't even like talk to the facilitator and I get so much value just from talking to the other participants.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's a few, but there's a lot more, I'm sure. And when you start doing it or being around that energy, you'll start to feel like, oh, wow, yeah, this is a different thing.
That's awesome.
Great.
Thanks.
My pleasure. All righty. So we talked to Jen, we talked to Jamie. Jamie, did we already cover everything? Just hit me back if you still have more questions. Matthew Sorrenti, can I advertise this as a workshop or training instead of a mastermind? Yes, 100%. Whatever your market will respond to, and you can run it like a mastermind, you can run it like a workshop or a training. Like really, like I'm not, I believe masterminds are great and I run a lot of masterminds and I think they're amazing and I'm the mastermind guy. But at the end of the day, like I care more about what does your market want and what will they buy versus shoving masterminds down their throat. And is it okay to have less facilitation for these workshops initially? Yeah, sure. And let's talk about this a little bit. Matthew, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So for the first question, I hope that makes sense. If you have more questions, hit me up. And then for the second question, is it okay to have less? Oh, I see you asked the third one down there. If it's okay to have less facilitation for these workshops initially, what do you mean by that? Can we get more clear on that?
Well, I mean, I tended to think of the workshops as like, well, okay, you're teaching them all of the stuff that they need to know for the workshop. So it wouldn't so much be like, well, let's all come together and see what the ideas are for it. Like, I'm sure we can get into that later, but I want to teach the principles of it first.
Sure. So like lay the ground rules and the grounds, information, the education that they need in order to then do more mastermindy type stuff. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you could do that. And it also can be experts doing that. It doesn't have to be all on you. And as far as less versus more, it's the right amount. What's the minimum effective dose so that they get the result? And then how do you over deliver on top of that? So the ideal scenario is they come into your mastermind. They're like, I got what I wanted and I got so much more. That's what they should come away feeling like. This is so great. I'm so glad I did this. And they'll give you a testimonial and be super stoked. That's the ideal scenario.
Okay.
And it really just comes down to what is that for you and your niche and your transformation and what you're trying to do. And I would pick something that's like easy enough to get your head around and easy enough to do and guide people through in 3 to 5 steps. Is that helpful?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm really glad that you said workshops and trainings, because that's when the light bulb went off
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
went in my head
Yeah, totally.
yesterday. Um,
I'm not married to masterminds. I love masterminds, but some people just never go for that. So you got to give them what they want.
I've got the other question too. I don't, maybe you saw it or not. Let's see. So
The other question
mm,
is, we're going the HOD over on the 15 to 45-minute call appointment for potential clients. So the HOD, we're crafting it now based on what's in your head, what you know already. That's day 3.
okay.
Day 4, we're going to talk about how to do market research to get even clearer. And then day 5, we're going to talk a little bit, like, this isn't a sales training, unfortunately. Sales is way more nuanced than what I have, within the context of this challenge. And it's an ongoing practice, right? You need to get reps. I've been on 3,000 sales calls. There's no way I could import all the different things I've learned about sales over the years. However, the 45 minutes is typically more of a sales conversation. And that would be the point at which, once they're clear, once they're in the right emotional frame of mind to consider and process your offer, then you'd make that offer. And the HOD and all of its iterations, all of its versions, as you get it better and better and get more and more feedback and get it tighter and tighter, will be kind of your cheat sheet in order to make that offer. But you'll be giving it verbally. It won't be necessarily on a page or anything like that. Like that's kind of like more advanced stuff, is when you got your offer so dialed in, you can sell it without talking to anybody. That's when you know it's time to do a sales page or a webinar or some other thing.
So it's not about trying to hook them in with like 30 words or less, and then you're not like, I thought you said, because I thought earlier you mentioned you were building to that, right?
Yeah. So the benefit statement is the shot across the bow. That's how you get them interested in what you have to offer. You see what I'm saying? That's like the invitation to talk more about it. Okay, great. Let's book a call. And you can use these tools separately or in tandem, and they all work, right? So, an example might be you put up a post or you have a conversation with somebody and you use your benefit statement or you use that script we just gave you, and that gets the person to raise their hand. Then it's like, okay, let's get on a 15-minute call. You do that with Calendly or Schedule Once or Acuity or whatever. Then you have the 15-minute call. You see if it's a good fit to even pitch this person. And then at the end of that, we'll teach you how to transition to, great, let's talk more about this on a longer call and see if it's the right fit. Which would be the sales call, which you'd give your offer on.
Is that script something you texted me, or like, is that part of the workbook, or?
No, we're going to teach it on day 4 and day 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll look forward to that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And again, I'm giving as much as I possibly can within the context of this. We go way, way deeper in our big programs. Like when we work with 6 months for people, there's a lot of sales training in there. It's like good, better, best, like here's 10 questions to ask in your next sales training or on your next sales call, to like, here's a script that you can use and you can kind of make better, to all the way to like, you can get off script and go completely scriptless and just have these check boxes that you're kind of running off in your brain, and you can flex and flow with the conversation. So it doesn't feel like a script at all to that person. You're just having a conversation, but you're selling the program.
All right.
So that's like ninja level Jedi stuff, but that's unfortunately not within the purview of what we're doing here this week.
I might as well get this out of the way now, and then if I have any other questions, I'll type them in.
Sure.
Do you recommend using PayPal for payment?
Oh yeah. So I was going to talk with the lady who's just on before. It was either Jen or Jamie, but my top 3 recommendations in order are Stripe. And if you can't get Stripe in time or you don't have Stripe, PayPal's okay. I'm not crazy about PayPal, but they will get you your money eventually. And then Venmo would be my third option as a backup.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Yeah. What I would avoid trying to do is like some sort of crazy merchant account where you got to go through a whole bunch of banking regulations and stuff. That's going to be a lot of work. I wouldn't worry about that right now.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Thank you.
Good, Matthew. All right. Talk to you soon. Thanks for being here. All right, Jen. Best way to organize payment. We talked about that. A couple of people leave. Talked about that. Move forward. I think we're good. Okay. Bilal, can a mastermind be a combination of physical meetings and online with a clear outcome that you leave the mastermind in 2 months, having a plan developed with the help of peers? Yes. Yes, it certainly can, but we can talk more about it. Let's jump on here. Bilal. Hi, Bilal. Oh, wait. That's Barry. Can you hear me, Bilal?
Yeah. Hi. Can you hear me?
Good.
Yes.
Good. How you doing? Yes. All right.
Yeah.
So yes, it can be a combination of physical and virtual. That's perfectly fine. I've found a lot of people, what my clients are doing right now is they're selling physical now to be fulfilled later. right? So even though it's 2020 and everybody's on, COVID watch and quarantining, we can still do the virtual for now, and then we'll give you sessions later. So that allows them to pre-sell essentially in-person masterminds later. So that's thing one. And then as far as the timing and how long it takes, it really just comes down to your niche. What's the minimum effective dose to give people an experience that they're excited about as a beta?
So 2 months is really very effective for such a thing.
Yeah, I think 2 months could be fine. It could be shorter, honestly. I like to do them in like a weekend to test them out. Yeah, like or less, like a day to 3 days would be perfect. And I would only really do 3 days if I had like a giving component on the end of it. And I've tested a lot of masterminds this way, on different topics and niches, just by like, hey, we're just going to do it this weekend, see how it goes. And if we want to do it more, we'll do it more. We'll expand it. We'll make it bigger.
Yeah. Now, what you were talking about, the offering and betas, like what jumped into my mind is some of the work that needs to be delivered and requires some time could be the beta or could be the shorter version of the mastermind. And then this shorter version would be the lead generator for the longer version mastermind.
That could work too. Yeah, I've seen people do that effectively. Eventually, like I got to presume everybody's starting from scratch, but eventually when you've done enough things, you'll have different things. Like I have a book, I have little, mini courses. I have, the standalone version of BAM 2.0 we're rolling out. I've got the BAM family, which is a 6-month work with us program. I've got coaching. I've got masterminds. I got all these different things I can offer. It's where are those people at that time and what's the right offer for them based on that.
Yeah. So one offer can funnel into another in certain cases.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's called your offer ladder, your offer stack, or your stair steps, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Awesome, Bilal.
So,
you good?
Thanks. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, you got it. All right. Cranking on through. The next step to sell another one in your mastermind. Yep, we talked about that. What's the difference between regular mastermind and hot seat mastermind? So Angie, real quick, this is simple. A regular mastermind and a hot seat mastermind are one and the same. To me, it's not a mastermind without a hot seat. I think that's like the key core component of a mastermind that makes it a mastermind, in my opinion. So there you go. That's what I say it is, because everybody gets individual attention from the group. That's why I think it's a mastermind versus anything else. That's why the smaller groups are really fun and awesome and a great way to start, because it's so much value for, you don't have to do a whole lot of prep. We can give you all the questions to ask and give everybody an opportunity to ask questions. And the main goal there is just clarity. I hope that answers your question, but we can just hit me in with another one if you still have more. What features have you experienced in the high-end masterminds you've been to that were particularly effective for your business success? That's a really good question, Jen. Let's have you hop on and talk about that. So Jen, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
So that's an awesome question. I love that question. So the ones that have really gotten me, they were like, damn, they brought their A game, were when they took the time to really map out everybody who's going to be in the room and match you with people you need to talk to based on your goals and desires of the outcome of that mastermind. That blew me away. When they took the time to really map out, like, we got 150 people coming. Who does Brad need to talk to most? And make sure that they're seated next to each other at dinner. Make sure that they're in the hot air balloon ride together. Make sure they're skiing on the same ski lift. Make sure they're, getting gifts and books and things that they can exchange. Like, that was actually a really cool one. They give you the gifts the other people want so that you get to become their secret Santa during the mastermind. That was really cool.
Whoa, that's cool. They give you a gift.
Right. To give to Joe or whoever. Like, this is Joe. This is the book that Joe should read next. Make sure you give it to him. And then you get to meet Joe and you get to give him a gift. And it's pretty cool.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So that's one example. I mean, there's a lot of them. I mean, I've been to masterminds where we do a whole bunch of really cool, like we raced cars one time, and Jay Fissett's mastermind, I got to drive like a Shelby Cobra and an Audi R8. I got to drive an Aston Martin. I dressed like James Bond. It was freaking cool. Like, you can do so many things with these masterminds. And that's the reason you get to raise the price, because you're just adding, so much value and experience, and people want to have time to, like, connect with other people in a situation, doing an experience that they're never going to forget. You could take them rally racing. You could take them skydiving. You could take them, indoor skydiving. Like, you don't have to jump out of a plane. Like, there's a lot of safe, but very interesting things you could be doing, provided everybody's on board for that, I went to the Peruvian jungle with Neil Strauss and walked the Inca Trail and learned to survive in the jungle. And I almost got attacked by a puma, and there were piranhas and pink dolphins we swam with in the Amazon River. Like, I wouldn't trade that experience for my life. It was one of the coolest things I ever did. I almost died only like 3 times. You know, so like, it's really, who's your market and how could you surprise and delight them and make it so cool that they would never want to do anything else? Another example, we went on this urban survival, escape, and evasion training with like legit, like, special operations trains, survival specialists, where they would hood you, handcuff you. This is not going to sound cool to everybody, but they hood you, handcuff you, waterboard you, throw you in the back of a van, drive you around Los Angeles. You got to go get your like go bag and find your costume and like evade their detection throughout the whole city. Like get across the city from point A to point B without being detected. And it was like this giant game of tag. And so I'm in the back of the van. I'm hooded. I'm handcuffed behind my back. I got zip ties on my wrists. And like we had to break out all that stuff. They taught you how to break out of zip ties and handcuffs. I can still do it to this day. I can pick locks. It's like all this cool stuff I got to learn. Breaking a car is like how to hotwire a car. It's like Jason Bourne and freaking parkour and all this other cool stuff. So I'm in the back of this van and we're driving. And my friend Justin, rest in peace, he passed away a few years later. But he's driving the van and he was hungover from the night before because we were all out partying. It's just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm telling the story right now. And we're in Marina Del Rey and he can't find the turnoff. So he makes a turnoff and he hits a traffic cone and a cop pulls us over. So he's in a white panel van with 6 people hooded and handcuffed in the back of the van. And the LAPD pulls him over. And we're all like, oh no, this is going to be bad. This is going to be really, really bad. So
Oh my gosh.
he talks his way out of it. The cop never looked in the back of the van. We got away with it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I was really, because we were all like, let us out. We were all part of this thing. We signed up for it. But we couldn't believe he got away with it. It was the most wild thing I've ever experienced. All right.
Oh,
So, yeah,
I love that.
There's a lot you can do. There's a lot you can do.
Yeah. No, I love the whole like pairing people, like kind of mapping that out and, thinking of creative ways to connect them. And then
Think of like cool experiences they're going to write home about. They're going to tell stories about for decades, These are the things like the masterminds are a great opportunity to help people live an extraordinary life and do stuff they would never do on their own with people they might never have connected with. And you have friends for life. Like I still talk to people a decade later that I was in that mastermind with. They went to North Korea on one of the trips, like just crazy stuff. Like,
yeah, no, I think that's so exciting. And I think it's fun to think about like, how can I connect people? And then I've never done a mastermind where I've brought them together in person because it seems like, my masterminds are typically, they're all over the world.
Yeah, sure.
To people who are participating. And especially now during COVID, it's, no one's going to be coming.
The world will eventually get back to normal. So you can start to plan or even sell these experiences ahead of time. Like we did a 10-day one in Bali, which was like 3 days of, it was be, do, give. So it was like 3 days of personal development work, 3 days of masterminding, and like 4 days of just whatever, like messing around, doing cool activities, whitewater rafting and massages and like, beautiful countryside. And we did a couple of give back days too. We worked with the community and gave out food and clothing and shelter and all these different things that we, do as part of our mission with the Greatness Foundation. So, there's so many different things you could do to make this a great experience.
Oh my gosh. I love all those ideas.
Like people come back like feeling like they not only were given to, but they received so much more in turn because they got to give as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so good. And there probably are ways that I could think about incorporating that.
You can go to Florida right now and run a mastermind. They don't care about masks. They're like, COVID never happened. They don't give a crap. Just saying, I don't agree with it. I think, maybe we should be a little more careful than that. My grandmother died of COVID, for example.
Oh,
but
so sorry.
Yeah, it is what it is. She wasn't young. She was in her 80s and had Parkinson's, but still it sucks, So, there's whatever side of the aisle you are on that. Like there are people and there are places where they're like, throwing caution to the wind. And, if you're of that ilk and that, I'm not here to judge anybody's values, but if that's what you want to do, you can do it in person. There's places you can do it.
Yeah. 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 I'm even thinking like I could probably, I'm connected with some philanthropic organizations and they've been doing, like normally every fall they do a gala. Sure. And what they're doing now is they're just sending out boxes of like champagne to everybody and inviting them for an online gala. And then everyone drinks their champagne together. I could do something like that.
You can do that. You can rent a big Airbnb house and just have a big party basically and make it a mastermind.
Yeah.
I do that a ton too. And that's like a great example. It's a great excuse for me to travel and live in a dope house for a couple of days,
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be amazing. I think at this point in the game, it'd be scary for me to like rent something like that and not have, the audience.
Sure. But that's why you pre-sell it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Because now you'll have all the money and then you can go and be like, okay, yeah, I can afford this.
Good point.
It's not a question of I can't afford it. It's a question of how can I afford it?
How can I? Yeah, good point. Thanks.
You're welcome. I hope that was helpful for everybody, because
Super helpful.
this is why I love masterminds, like this kind of stuff. It's not like, because my niche is so cool. It's like, what do you get to do to transform people?
Yeah.
All right. Great question. Thanks again.
Thanks.
All right. Blake, what books and low-cost resources or masterminds do you recommend for learning the Jedi stuff? There's none. No, I'm just kidding. As far as low cost, that's hard to say. I think of it as like, what's the cost of me not finding a way to make this happen? And yes, I've thrown a lot of money around figuring this stuff out. Over 10 years, I've probably invested $1 million plus at this point. And I'm happy to do it, provided I get the value. And I've always gotten the value because I always show up and willing to give and happy to do it. Some of my favorite books of all time, it's just hard to learn sales in a book. You got to learn sales from a mentor. You got to like have them review your calls and have them look at, what you're doing. Books are great, but having the reps under your belt consistently and having the guidance to say, hey, do this instead of that, it just changes the game. So, I go really deep on sales in the Build Mastermind program. I'm not ashamed to say it's the best program of its kind because we focus so much on the key elements of building a business, not just a mastermind. The marketing, the sales, the systems, the lead gen, all that great stuff, from just starting out all the way up to running ads and having really complex systems and funnels in your business. That's what we do. So, if you're really like all in on this, you want to do it, we can absolutely have a conversation. This is not a sales pitch. I'm just saying this is what we offer. And to kind of say, hey, here's a book is not really going to serve you at the highest level. And if it's a money thing, find a way to make the money. Run a small beta mastermind, bring a couple grand in the door, and then you're in a much better position to make other choices. I wish I had one good recommendation. I've read so many great sales books over the years. High Integrity Selling for the 21st Century. I can look at a couple on my shelf here. My mentors like Eli, Brad, Cole, they put out some good stuff. We have some additional bonus material from Cole in the group that we can check out. But yeah, let's follow up on that because it's a little off topic. But we do a lot of training on sales, and we do a good, better, best as well for learning the Jedi stuff. And I did NLP master practitioner, I did the hypnotherapist, all that great stuff. So it's all these different pieces that allow you to build a foundation and then just getting the reps in over and over and over again. When I say I've done 3,000 sales calls in my life, it's probably more than that. That's just an estimate. But I've been at this a long time, and the more conversations I have with more different types of people and more different types of settings, more different types of companies with more different types of offers, you just learn the kind of through points and the threads to like really bring somebody from A to B and help them make a great decision. You do it from a place of love, a place of service, a place of giving. And that's the mindset you want to cultivate. It's not about selling them something or getting over on them. It's about what's the best decision for them right now, and how do you get them resourceful enough to make that decision? What does it need to be? How do you lead them to where they got to go next? Okay. And you can't get it all out of a book, as much as I'd like for that to be true. Okay. So what would it look like? What would it work? Sorry, one second. What would it work to do one-on-one interview to see if they're a good fit? Or is it better for scalability to have some check boxes like age, income, position? Yeah. So these are like, eventually you're going to know your niche so well that you're going to have more demographic type data to help with. And that'll help you target ads. That'll help you, call out the likely suspects in your advertising. But for now, that's a little too complex. I don't want to get that crazy. That's very advanced, Alejandro. So I would instead focus on these one-on-one interviews and kind of just take whoever will show up for now, because they're not going to raise their hand if they're not at least a little bit interested. So it's likely you're going to get people who are a little bit interested, and then you can decide whether they're a good fit or not from there. Before you get too scrolled out on like all these different things. Like a lot of people who are first starting, they're so hesitant to do something wrong or fail or waste time that they end up failing and hesitating and wasting a lot of time. So they're afraid of doing the thing they don't want, and that leads them to doing exactly that. When the simpler thing, the easier thing is just to get in here, go with your heart open, ask people a bunch of questions, get clearer and clearer and clearer, and fail a lot, and be like courageous in failing and excited about failing so that you can get to the ultimate answers, which is what people want to actually buy. And that's how we help you get there. So to answer your question, Blake, the 21-day Build a Mastermind program, it has some stuff on sales, but I would say the lowest ticket thing we offer that has a sales component to it is the sales masterclass. And you can go to buildamastermind.com/sales and check that out. I'll send you the link here now. So let's do that. But we have an offer for you guys at the end that we'll have more about how to go forward from here. So I understand you guys are chomping at the bit to work with us. I get it. I love it. I'm excited. And I hope you've gotten a lot of value out of this so far and given you a little bit of a taste, but trust me, I'll have something irresistible for you at the end of this. So don't worry about that. If you want to work with us, we'll find a way for you to work with us. But here's that for now. Okay. And I think that's it for questions. I do have my normal weekly Build a Mastermind call in 25 minutes. I'd really love to rest my voice. So I think I'm going to just cut this now. You guys can always hit me up tomorrow with any additional questions. For now, I think you got your marching orders. You know exactly what to be doing. Feel free to review this recording. Feel free to review, you can ask Joel if you need a copy of this recording, or the other one will be in the group as well. So review the material, get your workbook, go do your HOD, and get it out there. Start booking some calls, and we'll talk tomorrow. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Appreciate you. And I'll talk to you later.